Adrian, thank you, and a very good evening to you. And in a week that's illustrated just how difficult it can be to defend a cup, Newcastle continue their quest. Having waited 70 years for a domestic honour, it will be some achievement to go back-to-back, the domain of very few. In fact, only two clubs have managed it in the League Cup over the last 35 years. One of them, Manchester City, whose first silverware under Pep came in this competition. That first League Cup in his reign quickly became 2, then 3 and 4, an extraordinary dominance in the latter part of the last decade. But it was that first success after a trophyless season that was the precursor to everything that followed. And now, as Pep approaches the 10th anniversary of his appointment, the City side seek that same catalyst after another rare fallow campaign. This is how the two sides line up. Manchester City in their customary light blue with white shorts, and Newcastle in the famous black and white. And the Geordies have Pope in goal, Miley, Chow, Botman and Hall, Ramsey, Bruno and Joelinton, Jacob Murphy, Wissa and Gordon for City, Trafford, Nunes, Kusanov, Alain and Ake, Bernardo Silva and O'Reilly, Doku, Foden, Semenyo and Haaland. And on the benches, for the Toonami, Ramsdale, Trippier, Tonali, Barnes and Alanga, Waldemar, Willock, Alex Murphy and Neve. For City, it's Donnarumma, Grinders, Cherky, Rodri and Aït-Nouri, McAdoo, Picasso, Lewis and Gray. Both sides in a huddle. Newcastle break away from theirs first. What's a par score for Newcastle tonight? Have they got to win this first leg?
Yeah, I think they do. I think their away form is that poor, and certainly recent history at the Etihad doesn't make good reading for Newcastle fans. So I think tonight feels absolutely huge for them, and I think City will have that in their minds. And actually, it'll be interesting to see how Manchester City approach this game.
The referee likes Chris Kavanagh, and both sides have come to order in formation. It will be City kicking from left to right who will get us underway. Newcastle have never lost a League Cup semi-final, including 12 months ago when they breezed past the side second in the table, winning both home and away. Now they face second place Manchester City, fresh from equalling their biggest ever victory, but whose last domestic defeat was here on Tyneside. Who'll manoeuvre themselves into a position of strength in this first leg. City, as I mentioned, kicking from left to right towards the Gallagher and down the hill in the first 45 minutes. First touch of the night with Phil Foden, who goes back for James Trafford, and he launches it long, high towards the edge of the penalty area at the other end, where Botman is there to knock it away. Chow turning it over the top. Whistle will chase that, but it's easily guarded by Kusanov. Back to his goalkeeper, James Trafford. Out from him to Alain, who puts his right foot through the ball, turned over the shoulder of Botman, away from Haaland. Chow will come and mop up and lay it back for his goalkeeper Nick Pope. His clearance out towards the far touchline drops onto the head of Nathan Ake. Joelinton in there beats Foden in the midfield challenge. Haaland can flick it on. Foden able to turn under pressure from Bruno Guimaraes. Cleared well by Miley, wearing 67 and playing it right back again today. And he might be for a while in the continued absence of Tino Livramento. He's going to be out for a couple of months with that hamstring problem. And the ball out of play for a throw, which will be taken by Miley in the right back position for Newcastle. And you and I taking in the game tonight with the former FA Cup final goal scorer Dean Ashton.
And I think surely that side of the pitch, that far side, as Haaland's definitely not fouled, that far side when you've got Doku against Miley, a young player, midfield player, well, I'll tell you what, he's going to have a real test when he gets faced up with Doku, just because of the acceleration, the change of direction that he'll have to deal with. Can he handle it?
Yeah, Doku's starting on the left, Semenyo on the right. The ball with Gordon. He'll work it back inside his own half full. Sven Botman has just signed that new extended deal, to everybody's delight here. Now Chow has had a fantastic start to his Newcastle career. Through the midfield for Ramsey. The third to Tonali in the midfield three with Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton. He's got it again, Ramsey, under pressure. Just got caught by Bernardo Silva to win a free kick about 10 yards outside his own penalty area. It's still 0-0 in the very early stages. Played almost 2 minutes here at St James's Park. And a reminder that the first leg of the other semi-final is Arsenal and Chelsea go head-to-head tomorrow, live on TalkSport. Again, build-ups at 7 for an 8 o'clock kick-off. Ake, mopping up, goes back to his goalkeeper. Trafford very deliberately taking a couple of touches, finding Kusanov, who's chipped into the centre circle, where Botman comes to make life difficult for Haaland. City striking Viking, winning it in the air, but was put under pressure. He guided it back towards Bernardo Silva, and he's now been caught by Ramsey. It's going to be a good battle between those two, both having a little niggle in the early stages at the other's expense.
Well, it's something they'll look for, Newcastle, is to, when that ball gets bounced into midfield, O'Reilly, Bernardo Silva and Foden in particular, they'll look to be snapping in, winning the ball, and then where they've hurt City in the past is that electric pace that Newcastle have on the counter-attack.
Yeah, beat City 2-1 earlier this season, back in November. A couple of goals from Harvey Barnes, who's waiting in the wings again today. Fresh from scoring 4 in his last 2 matches. It was Ruben Dias that scored the City goal. Not featuring this evening. Here's Nunes down the City right, wins the throw off Joelinton. Right in front of us, and he'll just go and retrieve the yellow ball from about a foot or so away from the right touchline. Drives it on the inside of his light blue shirt. Takes the throw back for Kusanov. Alain peels away and offers himself as the passing angle. Manchester City's number 68, England under 21 international, back for another England under 21 international, James Trafford. A slightly aimless ball forward from him, painting by numbers a little bit, just hoofing it through the middle. And it goes through towards Nick Pope. Lewis Hall, blonde-haired fullback for Newcastle, taking over. So Guimaraes on the edge of the D. Works the ball down for the bleached-haired Joelinton, riding a challenge of Kusanov. He's found Gordon. Now he can work it out for Jacob Murphy. First time ball in. Wissa onside, should have scored. Fires it over the bar.
Well, I tell you what, it's a magnificent first-time cross from Jacob Murphy. Brilliant play by Joelinton. Gordon with the switch, but Murphy just had his head up straight away. He saw Wissa, who was free at the back post, outnumbered Manchester City 3-2 at the back, but that ball was so good. He just curled it round Ake into Vissa's path. He took a decent first touch. It's a terrible left-footed effort as it kind of bobbled up, properly steered it over. There was no real composure, like he didn't trust his weak foot.
He's only got a couple of goals so far since his move from Brentford, which obviously has been drastically curtailed by injury, but he has played 10 games for the Geordies before tonight. He's got a good record against Manchester City. In his Brentford days, he scored in his last 2 games against Pep's men. Pep had turned away, and there was a sharp exhalation of breath. He sensed that his team had got away with one there. Newcastle play forward here for Joelinton. Joelinton back towards Sven Botman. As he came back Joelinton's way again, he just got caught by Nunes, and Foden can pick up loose possession. First chance for Semenyo on the Manchester City right, turning it onto his left foot. You had that boo from Newcastle supporters for Semenyo when he was in possession there. Back from Foden, Kusanov, now Alain, Nathan Ake, Jeremy Doku's got it on the Manchester City left. They've switched it very quickly from the right out to the left flank. Back for Ake again, who will check 10 yards away from the edge of the box. He goes deeper. Alain, Kusanov, the more thickly set of the 2 Manchester City centre halves. Now the youngster Alain had a good spell at Watford on loan the first half of this season. Ake, Newcastle just backing off very deferentially. Murphy faced up by Doku. Doku getting it in towards the near post, where Chow stretched out a right leg to get it away. Comes back out for Doku, who feeds it deeper for O'Reilly, who's playing a more orthodox central midfield role today. Now Kusanov, Semenyo, bottom right corner of the penalty area, trying to work it onto his left again, shown inside by Anthony Gordon. Into traffic, finds Alain to O'Reilly. Alain again. Hasn't put a foot wrong so far, the youngster. Kusanov with an aerial pass, it's a beauty. Brought down on the Right calf of Jeremy Doku, and he's got an opportunity to try and run at Miley. Gets to the byline, pulls it back to the edge of the 6-yard box, and Chow's there again.
That's a worry. That's certainly a worry. Lewis Miley on that far side, faced up by Doku. 1v1 for the first time. Well, he just breezed past him. Like he stood still. How quick Doku went past Miley there. Couldn't pick out a sky blue shirt, but that's a warning signs, I would say, for Eddie Howe.
And they'll come again with Doku. City taking the game to Newcastle in these early stages. He's got the beating of Miley. Works it inside the penalty area. He's pulled back. Haaland stretch. Couldn't quite get the touch. And Gordon happy to hammer it away. Oh, Manchester City, since Wissa missed that really good opportunity to give Newcastle the lead.
And again, Jeremy Doku, too good for Miley. Means that Jacob Murphy has to go out to try and double up. Doesn't then follow the run. Bernardo Silva, who flashes it across. He doesn't look. He's just hoping someone's there. But only Haaland is there. There needs to be more.
Semenyo, the player in that situation that Pep would be hoping would be gambling and trying to make that far post run. Ball goes out of play for what's been given as a Newcastle throw by the assistant referee Dan Cook right in front of us. I think the City players thought it should have gone the other way. A goal for Harrogate at Stockport in the EFL Trophy. Latest scores elsewhere. Bolton against Port Vale still 0. Bristol Rovers 2, Plymouth 2, Doncaster 1, Fleetwood 0, Huddersfield 2, Rotherham 0, Luton 1, Swindon 1, and we'll keep you updated with all the goals as they go in. 9 minutes gone here, 0-0. Newcastle with a great chance which Wissa put over the bar into the Leazes end. Manchester City with all the possession since, and they'll bring it forward with Kusanov over the halfway line, and then retraces his steps slightly and going back for Max Allain, the son, as I know you're aware by now, of the former England cricketer Mark Allain. Through the midfield towards O'Reilly, left footed, clipped out to the City left. Doku 5 yards in from the left-hand touchline. Murphy doubling up in front of Miley has done well. Just took a couple of steps back, committed himself, one possession back. Ramsey then turning it back for Chow, which piqued the interest of Foden. He was very nearly in there. Newcastle's hurried clearance only drops for Kusanov in the midfield. And then played back by Nunes. O'Reilly. Newcastle playing well out of possession, pushing Manchester City back, and Allain will go back for his goalkeeper. Trafford a little bit nervous taking a touch and then firing it into the vacated midfield area, but bypassed Semenyo and goes straight through to Nick Pope.
Yeah, and Pep Guardiola just giving a very visual clap towards James Trafford. I think that's more just to give him confidence. I don't think he was happy. He actually turned away when he first just lumped that forwards. It was that first touch from James Trafford as Kusanov just lets it run out. I think he felt it was a foul.
Felt it was a foul. I think he felt sure that the decision was definitely going to be given his way, and he flicked the ball with his left foot behind his right on the touchline, out. The referee said thrown in Newcastle. And they've got another one here. No, they haven't. It's come off Hall, and it will be a throw that will be taken on the Manchester City run. 10 minutes in, Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0. City back in Premier League action at the weekend. It is the Manchester derby against Michael Carrick's Manchester United. His appointment confirmed within the last 45 minutes, as we've been taking it for 48 hours on Talk Sport. And it's a 12:30 kickoff. It is live and exclusive to national radio on Talk Sport, Saturday lunchtime. The Manchester derby. Carrick played in 23 Manchester derbies, including scoring in a League Cup semi-final. That's 16 years ago. United won that one. City hoping to win this one. Started well. Ake back behind square for Allain. For the Kusanov. Semenyo's got in level with the edge of the Newcastle penalty area. Always looking just to drop inside whenever he's got it. Hasn't tried to take on Gordon on the outside once yet. Gordon's defended very diligently in front of Lewis Hall. Has to do so again. And Semenyo now will check and try and go past him. He can't get past him. He's retained possession though. Plays it back for Kusanov to O'Reilly and out to Ake. Left-footed ball clipped in. Too high for Nunes, who'd made the run. Is it brushed off a Newcastle player? It has. Out for a corner, the first of the night.
Yeah, they're pending at the moment, Newcastle. I don't think they're too worried about that. I think at times they will anyway, just to try and frustrate Manchester City and deny that space. But for Phil Foden in particular and Haaland. So they're having to switch it quickly without much joy on this right-hand side for Semenyo so far.
That's been action here at St James Park. Newcastle upon time. 0-0. Now we've played 13 minutes. Manchester City with the first corner. Swept in left-footed by Foden. But a late whip on that, but it was easily headed away at the near post by Miley. Headed back down. Foden's touch a little bit heavy. He's done really well to rescue it from Bruno Guimaraes. Works it through the midfield. It hit Wissa on the arm. Ake then side foots it forward as the loose ball breaks his way. It'll be picked up by Jeremy Doku. Right-footed ball inside the 6-yard box off Chow's head. Haaland the first to react. He's barreled into his man. Has pushed Gordon down and given Newcastle United a free kick.
I've got to say it's been a brilliant start from Manchester City. I know Newcastle have been penned back, but I think that's because of the quality in possession that Manchester City have shown. So crisp, using this delicious surface just to zip the ball along to each other. First touch has been excellent from everyone in sky blue. It's what you need when you come to a place like this, just to try and quieten things down and settle the game into your pace.
Possession 63-37 in Manchester City's favour. They haven't had an opportunity as yet. Just the one so far, which came Wissa's way, but he missed the target. More goals in the EFL Trophy. Swindon now leading 2-1 at Luton, and Plymouth have scored twice in quick succession to lead 3-2 at Bristol Rovers. They've turned it around there. 0-0 between Newcastle and Manchester City. The Geordies unbeaten here in 13, of which they've won 10 in League and Cup. Very good home record this season, as you would expect. In fact, looking for their 13th home win of the campaign already tonight. They're about in the second week of January there. Botman getting the ball through the midfield. Alain dealing with Wissa. Loose ball won by O'Reilly. As he pokes it forward, it falls straight to Bruno Guimaraes. Down towards Anthony Gordon. Gordon with the opportunity just to saunter up the left-hand touchline. Try and inject a little bit of tempo. Good ball in. Gelenti with a little flick header that's gone well wide. But Newcastle again, when they push forward on the counter, even if City can get bodies back as they did there, there's still a potency from Newcastle in that kind of situation.
Yeah, it's exactly what they want, and they need to do things quickly. And when they have done, they've already had a little bit of joy. Gordon excellent there. A couple of stabs with the right foot as if he's going to step, and then he did. Delivered early. Joe Linton back to the goal. Very, very difficult to gain the purchase from that cross from close to the 18-yard line.
Goal kick to Manchester City, which Alain took. He side-footed it to his goalkeeper. It was played forward, and now it comes back. Murphy with another attempt to get a first-time ball in that hits Ake, and Newcastle have their first corner of the night.
He's an interesting player, isn't he, Jacob Murphy? He's super talented. He's got a fantastic attitude to work, and he looks like he enjoys himself. I would just love to see a tiny bit more seriousness in his play, to absolutely dominate that shirt on the right hand side and start more games because of the quality that he shows and the belief, I think, that he should be here and a starter all the time.
He's keeping Elanga out tonight. Newcastle's first corner, in swinger. Trafford punches it away. Double fisted punch clear. Ball breaks outside the penalty area. Miley, the deepest of Newcastle's outfield players, runs round it, gets it away from Doku, who's just given Bruno Guimaraes a shove. The referee didn't agree with that. City are able to bring it away. Eddie Howe not happy. Doku straight through the middle of the ball that really lacked quality. It runs away from Haaland and goes through the poke, but the boos you can hear for the non-award of a free kick against Doku. Newcastle bring it forward at the other end. Wissa couldn't get it into his stride, and Alain gobbles it up, and now O'Reilly brings it forward.
We'll talk about a different profile of a centre forward for Newcastle in Wissa. Every single time one of the players gets it, he's looking on the last shoulder to get in behind, use that intelligent movement and the pace that he's got to hurt Manchester City. Voltemada very different, wants the ball to feet, into chest, crosses in.
Trafford, Newcastle pressing every time the ball goes back to him, and he side-footed it out towards the edge of the penalty area. It was a ball that I don't think the City players really wanted on the edge of the box, played into Foden, who knew the challenge was coming and braced, and wasn't disappointed as he got clattered by Joe Linton.
It was a slightly naughty one, wasn't it, from Joe Linton? Just missed the ball, albeit, then catches Foden just on the inside of the shin and almost makes a challenge that I think would have been looked at by VAR.
Stuart Atwell on VAR duty tonight as Elaine plays it forward, and it's flicked off Murphy. It's gone out of play for a Manchester City throw. Murphy just pulled up for a moment there. He has been struggling with a hamstring problem that kept him out of the weekend. I think just on a precautionary basis really to make sure he's okay for tonight. Looks as though he's all right. Hopefully from the Newcastle perspective, he's still not moving particularly freely. 2 balls on the pitch, or 1 on the pitch and 1 in the hands of Ake, who's preparing to launch the match ball on. The superfluous one has been cleared. Now we're back underway. City winning another throw as Haaland turns it into Miley over on the far touchline. Newcastle aiming for a 3rd League Cup final in the space of 4 seasons. They have won all 3 previous semi-finals in which they played. Beat Arsenal 2-0 in both legs last season. Beat Southampton in both legs in the 22-23 campaign, and then way back in the day, 50 seasons ago, they drew Spurs. They lost at White Hart Lane, came back here and beat them 3-1, made it through to the final, which they lost to Manchester City with that wonderful overhead kick from Dennis Stewart that Adrian was talking about earlier. Not missing anything, Chris Kavanagh's just having a word with a couple of the Manchester City players. It's Nunes that he's speaking to. Bernardo Silva is there as well. Bruno Guimaraes, Newcastle captain, coming in and trying to find out what's being talked about. Eventually play is going to restart with the Manchester City ball 10 yards inside their own half. Still 0-0 here on TalkSport.
Yeah, just a bit of back chat, I think it was, from Tez Nunes, and Chris Kavanagh just bringing Bernardo over as well, just to say, look, we won't be having any of that. But I think City will be delighted with the sort of start that they've had.
Now O'Reilly coming in, attacking a loose ball in the midfield, and Joe Linton nodded it past him. City, though, with Foden playing that little bit deeper again, has done really well with his quick feet to be able to get it out of the way. Ramsey coming across, covers the runner, Haaland. And it's out for a throw that will be taken on the Manchester City right by Nunes, right in front of us. With the perfect view, not very high here, and about 3-4 yards inside the half that Newcastle United are defending in the first half. Semenyo playing it forward, Hall heads it away. Here's Joe Linton under immediate pressure from both Nunes and Foden. He's done well to turn it away from both of them. O'Reilly comes across and just clips it straight into the crowd and out for a throw that Newcastle will take.
Yeah, let's just have a little mention, shall we, for Nico O'Reilly, by the way. He's played left back, centre back, now holding midfielder. He is a 10, really. He's an attacking player. He's scored goals this season, 20 years old. Started this game impeccably in that position, like he's played it all his life.
Okay, pick a number over 70. How many caps is he going to win for England?
91.
Well, it could easily be, couldn't it? I mean, are you sure about not 92? Is he injured for that other one? But he is a player with great pedigree, and what an extraordinary future he's got ahead of him. Very level-headed fellow as well. Just that versatility, a real boon to any England manager. Newcastle getting it forward. Murphy, right-hand side of the penalty area. Kusanov is there. It's come off the Uzbeki, and O'Reilly back to clear again. Hall urged to shoot, and Semenyo did well just to nudge it away from him to stop that happening. City getting upfield. Haaland with his back to the direction of play has done well just to protect the ball and guard it down for Doku. Doku turns it back through the midfield for Bernardo Silva. Foden to the aforementioned O'Reilly. O'Reilly calming things down finds Bernardo Silva, and he'll play it forward towards the halfway line. Manchester City dominating possession, but midway through the first half, as nearest makes no difference, it's still 0-0 here on TalkSport. And a reminder that the second semi-final, Chelsea against Arsenal, tomorrow night, first leg at Stamford Bridge, and it's live on TalkSport, and the build-up starting at 7 ahead of an 8 o'clock kick-off. The second leg of both of these games, the first Tuesday and Wednesday of February. And we've got those covered for you as well. Hall dancing around Foden's challenge, caught by Semenyo, free kick to Newcastle on halfway.
Oh, it did feel a little bit like he was stopping a decent attack there. Lucky maybe not to receive a yellow card, Antoine Semenyo, because Hall was away there. And that's what he's going to have to do actually, Hall. He's going to have to make it difficult for Semenyo in terms of he's going to have to come back and defend against Hall.
Now Foden is being told to retreat. Hall has spotted the ball down and Foden stood a couple of yards away, and the point that he was making was that the infringement had actually happened on halfway and not when Newcastle had put the ball down. He made his point, but nobody listened. Hall working it forward. And the free kick goes City's way down by their own corner flag after a foul by Gordon. Still 0-0 and surprisingly bereft of chances at the moment.
Yeah, I think clearly again on that far side from us, far side from the dugouts, we've got Doku against Miley, and actually it's been Jacob Murphy who's had the most joy. I think what you find with a young centre-back is Max Allain, he'll think safe, he'll think being close to his centre-back partner Kusanov is the safest option, might just leave Ake isolated on that side, and a couple of times they've slid the ball down the side of Ake and Max Allain hasn't come across to cover.
Well, Newcastle's Nick Pope is down injured, receiving a little bit of treatment. It's his right knee that is being attended to. Hopefully this is just a goalkeeper sensing that his side are getting a little bit overrun and going down, so that the manager can have a word with the 10 outfield players and try and redress things. Hopefully it is that rather than something more serious.
Absolutely, but has he even been involved yet? I can't think of too many times that he's been involved, especially in the last couple of minutes. And you can just feel next to me Adrian Durham is questioning it, I think, with the tactical. I mean, all the players coming across, having a nice drink, let's redo our laces. It's definitely not 35 degrees here.
I was doing a game with Sean Derry a few weeks back, the highly respected and experienced coach. He made a really good point, and I've heard it elsewhere since, that under these circumstances the opposition should be able to nominate one of your outfield players to go off for 30 seconds if your goalkeeper goes down injured. That will put a stop to it overnight. At the moment it's a loophole, and I would want my goalkeeper to do exactly the same. No doubt about it. It is a loophole, exploit it, but it needs to be tightened up. Pope's okay by the look of it, I'm glad to be able to say. 25 minutes gone and it is 0-0. Ball play forward towards Haaland. Chow knocks it away for Newcastle. Murphy in the heart of midfield for a moment has just drawn Doku in there with him. Spin it into the vacated area on the Newcastle right. Ramsey plays it back. Miley does so as well. Chow now to Botman and down towards Lewis Hall, and Hall will clear straight into Semenyo, and he goes out of play for a throw. You're with Talk Sport, and a very good afternoon to you as well right across North America. We're on Sirius XM FC, privileged to share the FA Cup with you over the course of the weekend, and it's the League Cup tonight and tomorrow on Sirius XM FC. Throw to be taken by Lewis Hall in towards Joe Linton. One back though by Nunes. Nunes with not the best ball towards Bernardo Silva. Newcastle can bring it away. Ramsey trying to drive forward, put under pressure by O'Reilly. He's got it wide for Murphy. First time ball in from him. Comes across, Wissa, the angle a little bit tighter than he wanted, and his left-footed effort is even more errant than the initial one. It's gone over the bar. Wouldn't have counted anyway, because the offside flag is now up. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0, and we're 26 minutes into the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final.
Again, it's that same situation for Manchester City. Nathan Ake trying to tuck in that space for Murphy, that same ball in towards Wissa. And how interesting, mentality-wise, Wissa should really hit that first time, left-footed, trust it, but because of the effort he'd had before that was pretty poor, he chose not to, chose to check back. It's just a little insight into the forward's mindset that we can just lose a tiny bit of confidence just from one act.
He had that early chance for Johan Wissa inside the opening 5 minutes where he blazed it over the bar after a delicious Murphy cross. Remains the best chance that either side have created. In fact, it's the only really noteworthy chance that either side have created. And Manchester City are able to bring it out from the back with Bernardo Silva, and Eddie Howe is furious at how easy that was. Semenyo chasing down the right, and it was a well-timed challenge by Botman to stop him getting any further. And now the ball's gone out of play. Howe is furious, and he's just indicating to the Newcastle players, smacking the fist of his right hand into the palm of his left, that maybe, just maybe, Bernardo Silva should have been stopped physically there from playing out that easily. Joelinton from a Newcastle throw. Bruno Guimaraes goes back for Chow, getting it away from Haaland to halfway, but it's gobbled up by Ake. Ake's 8 yards inside Newcastle territories. He just pirouettes and plays it back for Bernardo Silva. O'Reilly back for Alain. Alain in turn goes back for Trafford again, who side foots it parallel to the edge of the penalty area, past Wissa's path to find Alain. They've got real faith in his ability as a ball-playing centre-half. He's not let him down. Ake trying to slide it down the left-hand touchline for Doku. And Newcastle have got it back with Bruno Guimaraes. And a loose ball through the midfield. City seizing upon that. Bernardo Silva got Haaland making a run ahead of him. Couldn't quite play him in. Too many pairs of Newcastle legs to try and thread it through. And Newcastle bring it away, and then Bruno Guimaraes is fouled by O'Reilly.
And again, that's a lucky one, I think, for O'Reilly. It was clever from Guimaraes, just flicking it between the legs of O'Reilly and being clattered body to body with Bernardo Silva. Lovely little breakaway. Great idea to try and reverse that pass in towards Haaland, and was cut out well by the Newcastle defence. But there's not a lot of space and opening, certainly for Manchester City.
I mentioned the Newcastle have won all 3 of their previous League Cup semi-finals. City have won each of their last 6. Last defeat at this stage of the competition coming against Liverpool back in 2012, when they lost the first leg at home by a goal to nil and drew 2-2 at Anfield and went out 3-2 on aggregate. Since then they've won each of their last 4 ties, albeit that this is their first in 5 years. Last semi-final they played, Manchester Derby, and it was a one-off tie, you might remember, at Manchester United. That was in the COVID-affected seasons. All the way to our left with Trafford. Bowls it out. And then O'Reilly and Joelinton off the ball, way off the ball. Start a pushing and shoving match, and Nunes gets involved. Then players from both sides wade in. It's very quickly calmed down. I don't know whether something was said there between O'Reilly and Joelinton. The referee has got the yellow card out. Who's he going to brandish it to? I would imagine they're the pair of them. But just all of a sudden it escalated pretty quickly.
I just wonder, Joelinton's trying to say that maybe it was started by just a little pull or a little push. They're grappling. Look, Trafford's looking to try and get it to O'Reilly. Joelinton taps O'Reilly on the back of the head. O'Reilly gives him a little clip, and then they all act as if it's going to be a full-on punch-up, and nothing.
It was never going to be a full-on punch-up, but they had to pretend that the possibility was there.
It never is.
It never is. Bernardo Silva taking a little bit of time about this free kick and incurring the wrath of the Geordie faithful. Botman heads it away, some 70 yards upfield, out for a throw that Nunes will take. He just retrieve a yellow ball off an orange cone in front of us. Takes the throw. Back for Kusanov. Now Alain to the Manchester City left. Doku turning it back inside his own half here for Ake. Ake to Foden. City 15 yards inside the Newcastle half. It's still 0-0 here on TalkSport. We've got 13 to go to the break. Semenyo back away from Hall. Gordon then chases after Kusanov. And Whistler will do likewise to put the pressure on Elaine, but he's not found wanting. He's intelligently turned it forward under pressure, but nerveless pass for O'Reilly. Elaine has it again. Nunes turning, trying to get away from Sven Botman. And Nunes can play down towards Semenyo. Semenyo now running at Hall. He's still inside the penalty area, but Botman's recovered his ground and sticks out a right foot to steer it away. Hall under pressure from O'Reilly, turns beautifully to get past him, and then saw the challenge from Bernardo Silva coming, and he's bought the free kick.
Yeah, he did. Bernardo Silva just making that point. Lewis Hall just jumping over the top, but he did well to sort of get out of the tight situation. First time we've seen Semenyo face him up, try to chop inside onto his left foot, and was crowded out. Botman and also Gordon always does his defensive work, doesn't shirk that side of the game.
Free kick to Newcastle. Nunes acted as the ball boy for a moment. He threw it to Foden, who's the nearest player to where the infringement had taken place. Foden didn't see it coming until right the very last minute. Stuck his hands up in front of his face to protect himself and gave Nunes a curious look. I think it was a little misunderstanding. I don't think he knew exactly where it had come from. City will be able to bring the ball forward. Nunes back for O'Reilly. We've got 11 and a half to go to half-time. It's 0-0. And have we had a shot on target at either end? I don't think we have so far. But for all of that, highly intriguing. Albeit that the most significant moment of the tie is almost certainly not going to come tonight. Could do, of course. And Silva playing it down the City left where Doku's fouled. The referee says there was no foul. It's gone out of play for a Newcastle throw. They're taking it quickly. Miley back for Chow, the Botman. Hall to his left will just open up his body, let it run across him, and then get it onto his left foot and flick it off Semenyo and out of play. Not too much time left in those EFL trophy matches. They're into the final 15 minutes. Bristol Rovers have equalised at home to Plymouth 3-3. Doncaster and Huddersfield 2-0 up in their respective games. Swindon lead at Luton 2-1. Bolton against Port Vale 0-0. Harrogate have just conceded at Edgeley Park as I speak. Stockport 1, Harrogate 1 there. O'Reilly back for Kusanov. This one is 0-0, 10 and a half to go, and a reminder that City next in Premier League action in the Manchester Derby, and it is coming your way on TalkSport 12:30 Saturday lunchtime. Hall turns away from Semenyo. Guimaraes plays around Bernardo Silva. Here come Newcastle. Ramsey to Murphy, led with the edge of the penalty area, trying to go the long way round. Ake stands it up towards Whistler. The Trafford, a tall goalkeeper, is always the overwhelming favourite to be able to get to that first. He's got to be careful that does he use the full 8 seconds? Or more than the full 8 seconds? That must have been really close. He's looking for options where to bowl it out, and they all seem to be blocked off. Eventually, just got it away for conceding a corner. Ramsey winning it back in the heart of the midfield for Newcastle. Goes out towards Jacob Murphy. Murphy towards the edge of the penalty area. Ake's been able to knock it away. Jim Prafford and Dean Ashton talking you through the action on an unseasonably warm Tyneside evening. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0. Not even coat weather. Hall down towards Gordon. Gordon on the Newcastle left. Plays it back for Botman. Beautiful clear night here. Haven't had the rain that so many other parts of the country have been affected by today. Murphy out on the Newcastle right. Ball back in field for Bruno Guimaraes. His yellow boots about 10 yards outside the edge of the penalty area. Hall flicking the ball back. It comes off Bernardo Silva, but still mopped up by Chow. Out towards Miley, who's the last handful of starts now have been in the right back position. It's the 7th in a row that he started there when he has played. Now Gordon has been brought down by Nunes. That'll be a yellow card. Mistime challenge. It was rash. Gordon passed him in the blink of an eye. First time that he's been direct, trying to go down the outside. Nunes got there very late. Catches him. Gordon staying down, lying on his back at the moment. When Nunes has finished apologising and helping him back to his feet, he will turn and see a yellow card brandished in his direction.
Yeah, well, Matheus Nunes should know that crisp packets in the wind, you can't catch them. You just can't. Gordon's like that. You think you have, and you haven't. you just step out to grab it and he's not there. It was brilliant from Gordon because he knew exactly what he was doing, Gordon. He knew his own pace, he knew Nunes was there, and he just waited until that challenge came in, nipped it away, took the challenge and knew that he would give the fullback a yellow card. Brilliant wing play.
So the white spray down, and it is about 6 yards in from the corner flag. Bruno Guimaraes raises his right arm in towards the near post. Poor delivery. He's got a corner out of it though. Nunes slightly missing his kick. I think his arms were in a natural position, but he came close to kicking it from his right foot up onto his right arm. Has deflected behind, out for another Newcastle corner.
Well, I think it was such a poor delivery. It actually really dipped in towards Nunes as he tried to clear it, but it's a bit of a gift really for Newcastle to have a corner kick.
7 to go to the break. It's still 0-0. Can Newcastle have the Knights' first attempt on target? Players run from deep in the far post in. Trafford paddles the corner away. Might break Gordon's way. It didn't quite. His touch it just a bit heavy. And then as it's cleared by City, goes up in the air. Lewis Hall had to play. It was an awkward touch from him. Well, Newcastle have mopped up ahead of him. And then Hall can calm things down and Gordon goes back for his goalkeeper. Pope, who's okay after receiving treatment 12 or 13 minutes ago, can get the ball clear. Ake on halfway nods it down. Jolinton's side puts it forward. Just a little bit scrappy for a moment, but Newcastle have got their foot on the ball again now and win a throw. 0-0.
It's tighter than I thought from a Newcastle perspective. I think knowing you've got to take a lead realistically, looking at your away form and your home form, and they've not really come out. They've not pressed at all. They've allowed City lots of easy possession, look to counter-attack, which we've got half joy they might hear as well.
He should have done. Lewis has got that pass horribly wrong. It's Gordon that made a run down the left-hand side, but he played it at an angle of about 20 degrees and needed to be 60. He's just completely missed him, and it goes through for James Trafford. And the point you're making about the disparity in home form, they've won 9 games this season, Newcastle in the league, 7 of them have been here. They've taken 23 points here and only 9 away from home. Now, they did win at Arsenal last year 12 months ago. Having won the first leg here, they went to Arsenal and won the second. But you can't imagine that Newcastle can afford to lose here and still get to Wembley. From that point of view, they might look at it that their best chance, because they're such a good counter-attacking side, is to just try and draw Manchester City on to an extent. But need to really create anything. What they have been able to do is stop City creating anything at the other end. Hall takes a free kick from halfway. City with a really high defensive line. He's dropped it into the space behind it, straight into Trafford. Trafford then, having caught it, punts it forward immediately. Doku chasing after it towards the edge of the penalty area. Hall has to be assured, and he was. And he turns under pressure and gets rid of the ball. It's obviously something that City have talked about, trying to isolate Doku's pace against the 2 Newcastle centre halves. The ball is over on the Newcastle right, but not for long. As Miley, having received it, plays it in for Bruno Guimaraes, who's one of 4 in tonight's starting lineup who started at Wembley in the final back in March. Foden's got it now, and he'll drive forward through the heart of the midfield. He's trying to invite the challenge from Hall to nudge it past him. He's laid it back for O'Reilly. O'Reilly to Ake. Foden again. A slight miskick from LA. Collector's item, but no harm done. He found Kusanov anyway. Down towards Bernardo Silva. Looks as though he's going to try and scoop it in first time. He's elected to lay it back towards Foden, and then Foden turned away and gave Bernardo a right mouthful. I think he felt that it should have been a more progressive pass in that situation. 2 of them just exchanged passes again. They're still having a go at each other. This time Bernardo not happy with Foden's lack of movement to where he wanted him to go. It's a little bit of disharmony amongst the experienced Manchester City players for a moment.
Well, it just shows the lack of intensity, maybe out of possession, and the fact they're sitting deep, Newcastle, that they could have that argument while still in possession, passing the ball to one another.
Semenyo back for Foden again. Foden at his left-hand side for Ake. Clipped inside the penalty area. Haaland is staying on the edge of the box. Botman heads it up in the air with his first touch and then away with his second. Now they'll get Murphy going. And this is where Newcastle do look lively. Getting the ball to Murphy when most of the light blue shirts are upfield. Doku's come back and tackled him on this occasion, doubling up with Ake. City will bring it away. Nunes for Foden. Foden to the feet of O'Reilly, straight back again. Foden slowing things down to a walking pace. Back from him to Kusanov, to Elaine. O'Reilly. Back for young Max Elaine again. And Elaine finds his goalkeeper. Elaine making only his third Manchester City appearance today. Scored his first goal for the club in that big win against Exeter on Saturday. Botman cuts out a ball towards Semenyo. And then Hall can bring it forward through the midfield. And he's asked an awful lot of Murphy. Ake had enough of a head start to be able to get there first. Murphy was offside anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to say he's cool in possession is an understatement, Max Elaine, already, considering how inexperienced he is at this level. You know, on the ball he's been terrific. He must have walrus skin like you, Jim.
I think that's a compliment. Here's Semenyo, right hand side of the penalty area, chips it in towards the far post, nobody there. Haaland made a darting run to the near, and it's cleared by Miley out towards the left hand side.
He wouldn't have a hat, gloves, double coat on like us three.
Here's Foden. Down to Semenyo. No, he probably wouldn't. Here's Foden. Continued his run. O'Reilly couldn't play it back to him.
Well, he's getting frustrated, Foden, and I can understand why, because he's not getting any space. He's barely been involved in the game. He's trying hard to get involved with very little communication with the other forwards. Well, I tell you what, why not try running beyond Haaland? Again, is that something the manager doesn't want? But Foden is essentially a 10 and he's just got it in the centre-back position. I'd want him, you know, if I'm Haaland, I'm saying, come on, someone run beyond me. Let's try and, you know, pull some of these defenders out of position.
Incidentally, talking of Haaland, in many ways it's a typical Erling Haaland night, in that he's had very few touches, only 7 of them so far in the first 42 minutes of the game. Often when he's at his most dangerous. He did score the first time he played against Newcastle. He's not scored in any of the last 6 against them. Ball inside the penalty area here, and it's cannoned off Hall and goes out for a second Manchester City corner of the night as half-time approaches 0-0.
That frustrates me to watch. It does. Doku does brilliantly well on the outside. Fantastic ball in. Nobody's really reacting. Semenyo needs to get inside Hall's position there. He's probably going to beat him in the air if he does.
So 2 corners apiece with 20 seconds to go to half-time, and Murphy has gone down injured. And this is a concern for Newcastle. Remember, he's had this niggling hamstring problem, and the way that he's just pushing his fingers of his left hand into his hamstring here suggests that his race might be run. There's 1 minute of added time at the end of the first 45. We're in it now. It won't start, of course, until Murphy's back on his feet and the play gets back underway with the corner, but the fact that we're so close to half-time at least means that they will be able to give Murphy a proper assessment. But this does not look good for him.
No, I don't think so. I think that was earlier as well, wasn't it? He sort of pulled up slightly. Whether he's been able to coast through it really for the rest of the game, probably in his mind thinking, I don't want to come off. I don't want to be injured again. But not a bad replacement, albeit might not have much to do once he does arrive, Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, he's just getting ready on the Newcastle bench in front of us, actually out of our view. But stripped and ready for action. Murphy, having had his treatment, has got to leave the field. So Newcastle will have to defend this with 10 men unless they make the change immediately. And that is what they're going to do. Murphy, as he departs to an ovation from the Gallagher, turns and implores his teammates to carry on the job without him. Barnes is on. Rapturous ovation for him after the form that he's been in recently. 4 goals in his last 2 games, a brace against Leeds, a brace against Bournemouth. Important late goals in there as well. 8 goals in his last 11 matches here at St James Park. In comes the Manchester City corner, then really deep and headed away by Hall. In that 1 additional minute now, Doku twisting, turning, delivering, bar a deflection, and out of play for another Manchester City corner. Late in the half, 0-0.
doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Miley, whether it's Murphy, whether it's Hall that goes over that side. Doku generally has the beating of them. He's been the biggest threat for sure for Manchester City, but incredibly, still not a single shot from Manchester City so far, despite their dominance with the ball.
Yep, 60-40 possession, not a single attempt, as Dean says. In towards the near post, this corner, and there is a shot on the turn from Ake, which has taken a deflection on its way over the bar. Barely time to take this third corner in quick succession. Haaland waved the foot at that initial ball, which was hitting low towards the near post. Ake on the turn, a shot that was going off target but helped further clear. So one last chance. Doku takes it in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Botman missed it, Hall didn't. Back from O'Reilly, Foden, Joelinton heads that away, and then when Hall clears, Chris Kavanagh puts worse to the mouth. It's the end of the first half. Hasn't necessarily transpired as we anticipated. Only 2 attempts between them before the game went into first half stoppage time. No shots on target from Newcastle. They should have scored early on with Wissa. City with plenty of possession, hardly had an opportunity worthy of the name, and at half-time in this game of 4 halves, it is 0-0. And there are no further changes. Remember, Newcastle took Murphy off because of a hamstring problem right at the end of the first half, replaced him with Barnes. And we're back underway. Newcastle black and white striped shirts, kicking from left to right, as they love to do in the second half, down the hill towards the Gallagher. And the ball out of play for an early throw. They've got Pope in goal, Miley, Chow, Botman and Hall, Ramsey, Guimaraes and Joelinton, Barnes, Wissa and Gordon. City Trafford in goal, Nunes, Kusanov, Alain and Ake, Bernardo Silva and O'Reilly, Doku, Foden, Semenyo and Haaland. It's the 2 number 9s that have struggled really to have too much of an influence because of a lack of service, although Haaland drops deep and does really well to play it on towards Foden, who just had half a yard there on Bruno Guimaraes, who brought him down. Only Haaland not happy that Chris Kavanagh's not producing a yellow card for that. It is going to be a free kick to City left of centre, about 12 yards outside the penalty area. Dean Ashley.
He's let a lot go, Chris Kavanagh. I think that's clearly been in his mind so far. But Foden just got the other side of Guimaraes for only probably the second time, clattered by Guimaraes into the Achilles. Phil Foden now saying, well, where was the yellow card? But it is a good position for City.
Not really a shooting position, although there is a one-man wall, or one man standing where the wall would be, a brick, if you like, Ramsey. But it's a long, long way out. Foden just works it short for Bernardo Silva. No thought of clipping it in. Instead they're going to work it towards Doku. He now will get it inside the penalty area where it's headed away by Miley. It'll break out towards Kusanov. Slightly misjudged his header. Went more up than he intended. Rather than powering towards the edge of the Newcastle United box. And Semenyo battling with Hall wins the throw, which will be taken over on the Manchester City right. City 9 wins in the last 12 games, and they've averaged 3 goals a game in the process, albeit that 10 over the space of 90 minutes helps. Here's Doku. Couple of yards in for the left-hand touchline. He fires it away from Barnes to find Ake. Now Foden. Max Alain coming onto it. Takes a touch, works it out towards Semenyo. Semenyo controls it. Quickly looks around, sees who's where, finds O'Reilly. O'Reilly back for Ake and down towards O'Reilly again. Alain forced back and deeper still and goes back to his goalkeeper Trafford. Wissa chases. Trafford just ships it beautifully over the first 4 Newcastle players to find Bernardo Silva. Now he goes out towards Semenyo. Haaland making his way forward, but Silva's in there, Foden as well. Nunes has made a run towards the penalty spot. Ball goes back for O'Reilly. Foden drops deep, plays it out to the City left-hand side for Doku. Both sides still waiting to break the deadlock. Doku to Nathan Ake. Ball in from him, and it's very nearly an own goal as it hit Anthony Gordon and ricocheted not a huge amount of power down towards the bottom right-hand corner. And Pope was very grateful that he could pounce on that, diving away to his left.
Yeah, it was a decent little clip, wasn't it, in from Nathan Ake. I think it was Mateus Nunes who was the furthest forward, who fell on the floor with Thiaw, and it hit the inside of Gordon's thigh. Knew nothing about it. I think Pope had to get down to his left.
Thiaw under pressure here from Haaland, and telling pressure. He's put the ball straight out of play under duress for a throw to Manchester City, about 15 yards from the corner flag. Still haven't had a shot on target. It's only the second time all season that they've failed to register a shot on target in the first half. Producer Declan McCarthy tells me. Here's O'Reilly, gets it down towards Kusanov. Played back in field again by Semenyo, who has played exclusively on the right so far with Doku on the left. There's been no thought of them switching within play. Miley gets it back to his goalkeeper. Pope's clearance. Guimaraes with a little bit of improvisation. Joelinton didn't know Nunes was coming. Nunes barreled into him, and play goes on. Newcastle have it with Gordon, making progress down the far touchline. The Newcastle left. Ball swept in. Whistle with a looping header. Palmed away by Trafford, who nearly got a face full of posts in the process. It was a looping header. Not a huge amount of power, very accurate, he got it away. Then another effort comes in, that's smacked back off the upright. City clear, straight into the nearest Newcastle player. And it bounces back off Ramsey, and Trafford's able to pick it up. Better from Newcastle, twice close to scoring.
Yeah, so close. Visser might have been offside, but he tried to guide the header. Brilliant from Trafford on the back foot to claw it away as it just about touched the crossbar as well. And then when it got recycled back out to Guimaraes, looked as if he was going to go far post, and then just whipped it into that near post. I think Trafford had it covered, but it still bounced back off the post.
So Newcastle creating a good opportunity at the beginning of the first half, a couple at the beginning of this second, still can't find a way through. Play stops again. Ramsey's gone down holding his head. Just for a moment on halfway standard, and perhaps looked a little bit discombobulated, and then has gone down with his right hand cupped around his right ear, and just got a bang to the head from Doku as the pair of them went for a ball on the touchline, and they've just got to go through all the protocol to make sure he is okay here, Jacob Ramsey.
Yeah, he slid in brilliantly actually on Jeremy Doku, did Ramsey, but as he did, Doku just braced himself, and it was his elbow that caught around the temple of Jacob Ramsey. Just took a bit of a delay really in feeling that, but he didn't look particularly comfortable as he went to the floor.
Dean, we talked about Newcastle's need to win this first leg, you and I both believe. So at what stage does Eddie Howe decide that he's really got to twist rather than stick, and he's got to be more proactive and potentially play into City's hands?
Well, I think you saw the attitude in the first half. There was no risk taken whatsoever. It was a case of we're going to sit, we're going to deny, and we're going to counter-attack, and if we get something great, if not, it's fine with us. I think this second half from now on, from the half-time whistle onwards, there needs to be a better intensity. This is the place where they can try and overwhelm Manchester City with the momentum and the tempo and the urgency that can really lift this place.
Ramsey still being checked out by the Newcastle medical staff. I think they're happy, the officials are happy that he's alright. He's going to be able to continue, which is good to see. Play resumes with City in possession. Silva finding O'Reilly. And we're 7.5 minutes into the second half, still goalless. Newcastle have had a couple of opportunities in the second period already. They've hit the post with Guimaraes, whistle denied by the goalkeeper. Doku getting it in here, and it's slid through the penalty area. It's Semenyo. He's done it again. 2-2 for the £65 million signing. A quiet-ish night by his standards, but he's made the run from the far post. Doku's ball in, took a deflection. Semenyo there to finish it off. First blood to Manchester City.
Well, City are old, isn't it? In the way they crafted this opportunity. Doku it was, just stands up Harvey Barnes, doesn't do the defensive work good enough. too easy for Doku, and it's Bernardo Silva that gets beyond Haaland. So important that one of those midfield players gets beyond. He's free, slides in, gets a touch, and Semenyo finally makes that run inside the defender at the back post, and then it's easy. You just tap it in at the back post.
Doku with the ball in, and the deflection on its way through of Bernardo Silva, all important. But Semenyo busting a gut to get there, and he just stole a march on Gordon. Antoine Semenyo is fast becoming a firm favourite amongst the Manchester City supporters. His 12th goal of the season, 2 in 2 for Manchester City, and they lead by a goal to nil in the away leg, and now there is some proper work for Newcastle United to do.
Yeah, there is, because they've been passive. Eventually it felt like Doku on this side was going to get free enough to create something significant, and again it wasn't anything clever from Semenyo. It was just a darting run, a gamble into a space, hoping that it lands, and it was the deflection, as you said, that took it right to him. But you have to be there.
Hall goes back for his goalkeeper. Different dynamic about it now. Pope getting it forward upfield. City with such a good record this season when they have scored first. Haven't got a good record when they've been chasing games, or when they've scored first. They have won 19 out of 24 this season. Newcastle, for their part, although they tend to score first in games, have only taken a positive result twice when they've gone behind. They beat Leeds in the last home game, that extraordinary 7-goal thriller here at St James Park. It's the only time in a Premier League match all season that they haven't lost when they've conceded. Will they be able to find a way back in this League Cup semi-final? Big advantage Manchester City. Antoine Semenyo with the goal. Foden from the edge of the centre circle. Down towards Doku, who's killed it beautifully inside the penalty area. Tries to cross it, Miley makes sure it's not a decent one. O'Reilly flicks it back for Ake. Doku's got it again in front of 5 Manchester City substitutes warming up on the touchline. Doku with quick feet, bag for Ake. O'Reilly, Foden able to turn, just got away from Bruno Guimaraes. Barnes back defending, can play it back for Miley, who will clip it away. Guimaraes does well to deal with a slightly awkward high ball. He brought it down. Joelinton then caught. Play goes on. Newcastle have still got it, but they're forced back inside their own penalty area. And Chow will lay it back for Pope under pressure from Haaland. He's got it away. Swept forward again by Elaine, but straight into the chest of Lewis Hall. And the England left back brings it forward. Finds Anthony Gordon. Guimaraes making a run ahead of him. Hall's continued his run. So too Whistle, although he was about 8 yards offside as Newcastle looked to play the ball forward. Wanted it to be played instantly. It wasn't. Miley can bring it forward now for the Geordies on the right-hand touchline. Trailing here by a goal to nil. Remember, unbeaten at home in 13 since a defeat to Arsenal back in late September. But trailing here tonight. Chow. Botman for Hall. And that's the Manchester City supporters you can hear high at the Leazes End away to our left. Absolutely delighted they have adopted the Bournemouth Semenyo song as well to serenade their latest acquisition. Gordon coming in off the Newcastle left. It's a better ball. Wissa making a run. He's going to be able to get there first. Joelinton takes over. His shot is blocked. Comes back out in the edge of the area. Bruno Guimaraes through a crowd. Comfortably saved though by Trafford. And it's 1-0 to Manchester City here on TalkSport.
Well, it eventually sat nicely for Bruno Guimaraes on the edge of the area. Had to wait till the timing was right for the half volley. Struck it well, straight, but low and into the arms of James Trafford. I'm just thinking about, what could change here for Newcastle. Well, Anthony Gordon, your fullback is on a yellow card. Demand the ball constantly, get at him constantly. Just feel as if it's a test as he goes now.
He's taking on Nunez, the Manchester City player involved. He won that, got it back. Oh, to Trafford. Trafford works it out to Bernardo Silva. Must have thought he was under pressure. He's whacked that, and he's come close to putting it in the top right-hand corner. Yeah. He's trying to spear it across towards the lane, got it horribly wrong and got away with it.
This would have been a comical shin pad into the top corner type goal, as he just, like you said, just tried to whip it across to Max Lane. Caught it horribly.
Just for a moment as the ball left his foot there, his heart was in his mouth. Corner to Newcastle. First on either side of one in this second half. Newcastle, remember, hit the post not long before City scored. In comes the corner. Trafford's missed it, far post. Real appeals from the Newcastle fans. Corner given.
Well, I think this is a big chance for Sven Botman, because Trafford gets trapped in there. Too many bodies in the way. He tries to stick an arm in it. He misses it. Botman's up there. Is he up too early? Possibly. I think he heads it into a City defender rather than into the back of the net.
And possibly hit the back of the goalkeeper on its way down. In comes the resulting corner. Trafford's dealt with that one much more effectively, punching it clear from Wissa. Now Doku getting there, trying to take on Hall. Good defending from the young Hampshire-born defender. Now it's out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the Newcastle United right. You would talk sport, and if you're listening in North America, you were Sirius XM FC. Very good afternoon to you, whether you're West Coast or East. Newcastle United trailing Manchester City here to a goal from Semenyo. City are going to be making a triple change very shortly. Miley pushing forward from right back is under pressure from Nathan Ake. Ake's stood his ground well. Doku able to bring it away. Doku trying to get past Ramsey, which he couldn't get past the second challenge, which came in, but then it was flicked beautifully through the midfield back towards Jeremy Doku. That was excellent ball retention from City, who are going to be bringing Reinders, Rodri and Lewis on. They come forward here with Nunes, finding Haaland, edge of the penalty area, sets up Foden, ricochets back off a Newcastle player. Haaland trying to get in there again. Chow made sure that he couldn't. It's out of play from Manchester City corner. They lead 1-0.
It's opening up. It's becoming slightly chaotic, as I thought it would in the first half. It's starting to, because Newcastle have got to try and risk a few more players forward. It was lovely from Nunes to get on the half turn and swivel away and find Haaland. Possibly could have let it run to his back foot and take a strike. He was unselfish to Foden, whose shot was blocked.
So here come the changes. O'Reilly is the first player to come off. He's going to be replaced by Rodri. And then Tijani Reinders will be the next man on. Phil Foden makes way for him. And is it going to be Rico Lewis for the previously cautioned Mateus Nunes? You would imagine that there's every chance. Lewis waiting, the fourth official, Matt Donoghue, about to put the numbers board up. Is it going to be 27? Yes, it is. So 27 off, 82 on. Lewis for Nunes, Rodri for O'Reilly, Reinders for Foden.
Nice to have those options, isn't it? With players on yellow cards to bring on Rodri, Reinders and Lewis. And I think he'll feel there's a great opportunity here to take what they've got, if not more, back to the Etihad.
Big embraces for all three players, given the hook by Pep Guardiola as they came off. 2 minutes past the hour mark. 1-0 to Manchester City, looking for a second. They might just have it. They have. It's him again. Antoine Semenyo walking onto the corner, bundling it home. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 2. A new City hero is born, and Newcastle's defence of the League Cup is in tatters.
Well, it's a stunning finish from a man banging form, moving in January, confidence brimming from Antoine Semenyo, and you can see it in the finish. It's a great delivery from the corner. He just peels from the goalkeeper, and then it's just a wonderful, is it a back heel or a back thigh? It's just improvisation from Semenyo, back to goal, just flicks it goalwards, uses the pace of the cross with the outside of his knee. That's what instinct is.
A man right on top of his game. What a story it has been from Antoine Semenyo. Beginning of his career, loan spells at Bath and Newport, and now with goals that seemingly going to be propelling Manchester City through to the final of the Carabao Cup. This one hasn't been ratified by the VAR as yet. They're checking a possible offside, not against Semenyo, but when he flicked it, was there a City player? And it would be Haaland, who was right in front of the goalkeeper in an offside position.
Well, it all depends where his feet are, I guess. He is basically in a waltz position with Malik Thiaw next to Pope. They've got no interest, either of them, in the ball. It's just whether Haaland's arm that's cradled beautifully behind the back of Thiaw, whether that is what they're classing as offside, or the back of his heel. I mean, look, it's going to be mightily close.
They're all in a line, the three. Now, if Nick Pope is the furthest forward of those three, then obviously he's the man that has played him offside. What they have to look, and it is horrendously close, and my gut feeling looking at the still we got on the screen now is that this might be disallowed actually, is that Haaland has got to be the furthest back of those three players. And I don't think he's the most advanced, but I don't think he's the furthest back. I think Nick Pope has actually played him offside. Unintentionally, as he's come to meet the ball, but when Semenyo makes the contact, I think Haaland's in an offside position. He's only in an offside position if he's then deemed to be interfering with play. But he's so close to the goalkeeper, he probably has to be. I think this could get chalked off. They're going to have to get the 3D lines out and more. It's extraordinarily close. But I think he's probably offside, looking at the still frame that we're looking at now without any lines on it.
Again, we've got that still from a certain angle. You don't know. Nick Pope's backside is probably the position that they're taking off, and then it's Malik Thiaw's heel, Haaland's calf, I think. It's a difficult one, but it basically grazes Haaland. It doesn't quite touch him, but it goes right past him into the goal.
Well, you can tell how close it is by how long it is taking the fourth official, the VAR, Stuart Atwell, and all the officials at Stockley Park to be able to make this decision. And it's another one of those incidents. Offside is offside. But the offside law wasn't designed to prevent goals in situations like this. For it to be as close and fractional as that. That's not why the law is there. The officials, in fairness, can only implement the laws that exist. They are doing that. They have to make sure they got this decision right. It's hugely frustrating for everybody in here, but they've got to make sure that they do it right. And if that means taking an extra minute or so, then they've got to do it. Now, I think the decision has been made, and Chris Kavanagh has been called over to the monitor. So my understanding is that Haaland's trailing foot is fractionally offside. But Kavanagh has been called over to the monitor. That is a factual decision. He's been called over because he now has to assess whether Haaland is interfering with it. And that's where his decision comes into play. So geographically, he is offside. That is matter of fact. The referee has been called over to have a look at the monitor so that he can assess whether he is interfering with play. Semenyo has flicked it for reference to the left-hand side of all three of those players that we were talking about who are in a line. I don't think Pope can possibly say that. He's going the wrong way. Chris Kavanagh's had a look. Let's hear what he's going to say as he tells St James Park what his decision is.
After review, Manchester City, number 9, is in an offside position.
Erling Haaland offside. Manchester City absolutely incensed. They've seen the same replays. And clearly they feel the way that Nick Pope is going to his right and the ball has come in behind the three of them, they feel that he's not interfered with play. Pope wasn't getting there. Has he had a material impact on Botman playing the ball? Maybe that is the decision. Newcastle making changes. Wissa off. The disappointing night. Voltemada is on. Ramsey coming off. Tonali will come on to replace him. And Anthony Elanga will replace Anthony Gordon. Triple change for Newcastle. Midway through the second half, they still only trail 1-0.
Yeah, I think they're going to try and take this momentum, aren't they? Eddie Howe on this Newcastle side. That's a massive call, a massive let-off as the atmosphere was sapped by that second Semenyo goal. But again, by the laws of the game, Haaland is interfering because he's stopping Malik Thiaw moving. You know, he possibly could stick a leg out. He can't because Haaland's there. Pope's having to get into a position because he's getting around Thiaw and Haaland. So it does impact those players effectively.
Joelinton is flagged offside. That was a much more cut and dried case. And then Bernardo Silva just had a cheeky little swipe at him, and Joelinton understandably took exception, and now he is having to be calmed down. It's a free kick to Manchester City. Rodri asking for clarification about exactly where it's got to be taken from. It's got to be taken from right in front of where the assistant referee's got his flag out. Here's Rodri. Plays it out towards the right. It's an aerial back pass. Out comes Trafford. Dealt with that really well. Kusanov played it back to him. It's a horror. And he's volleyed it away. Out for a throw. Taken quickly. Voltemada. Elanga. Bruno Guimaraes misses his kick. And Tonali coming onto it. Fires a left-footed volley wide from the edge of the penalty area. But Newcastle have had their lifeline thanks to officialdom. And now they're having to try and turn the screw.
And the supporters recognise it. You can feel it inside St James's Park. They know there was that let-off. Now's an opportunity. That was as well for Tonali. It sat beautifully for him. Left foot steered it into the ground, zipped along, but it was soft target. Should have done better.
20 minutes to go here on Talk Sport. I reckon that delay was somewhere between 5.5 and 6 minutes for the VAR check. And then with the changes that have been made, at least 7 minutes to be added on already. Here's Haaland coming forward now. Reinders to his right-hand side for City. He unleashes it, hits Hall. Goes out of play for a throw. Much more open now. Both sides will have more opportunities as a byproduct of Newcastle chasing the game. And there's still an angry reaction going on between the two benches. Pep has just put his hand to his head as if to say, phone me, to somebody in the Newcastle bench. Ball in from Semenyo, knocked away by Botman. And Hall will try and get it away. He's put under pressure over on that far touchline by Semenyo, who's only got one goal to his credit tonight and not two. Rodri, down for Ake. On the Manchester City left is Doku. An opportunity for him to try and run at Miley. 71 on the clock. 1-0 Manchester City. Semenyo's goal 8 minutes into the second half. Not too long after Musa forced a good save. Ball inside the penalty area. Joelinton knocks it away. Guimaraes hit the post as well early in the second half for Newcastle. There's a push there by Barnes. Easily spotted by Chris Kavanagh. Free kick to City, 20 yards outside the Newcastle penalty area. Maybe a little bit closer than that. Oh, there's an edge to it now, Dean.
Well, there is, because I think we all could recognise what that second goal meant. It almost felt as if that was it when City got that second goal. I'm not sure quite what the response would have been, and they look comfortable and confident, and it has just switched. It's changed the feeling inside here.
Bernardo Silva was decidedly reluctant to pick up a loose ball. It is a free kick to City. The ball had ended up midway inside the other half of the field. And Silva didn't want to be the one that went back to retrieve it. That was just in an attempt to try and manage the situation. Semenyo. Silva. And he's left his foot in again. And the yellow card that he receives has been in the post for a while. Bernardo Silva caution.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing we can all see with Bernardo Silva. I'm sure he would even admit it himself. He doesn't quite have that half a yard anymore. He's still got the quality on the ball, but players just have the edge in terms of speed at times and strength, and he finds himself in the book because of it.
17 minutes to go in this first leg. First leg of the other semi-finals coming your way tomorrow. It's Chelsea-Arsenal here on Talk Sport and across North America on Sirius XM FC. The ball clear by Nick Pope towards the edge of the Manchester City penalty area. Haaland back defending, was beaten by Chow. Voltemada's kept it in. Alanga, one of the other subs, has hooked his right foot around it. Ake heads his cross away. Haaland playing basketball with it, gives a free kick away. Just lent into it with his left arm. And just a wish of blood to the head there from Erling Haaland. It's a free kick to Newcastle in a wide position. Midway between the right-hand edge of the penalty area and the right-hand touchline, and Hall's going to come across to take it.
Yeah, again, it's just that added pressure, isn't it now? That intensity that I thought Newcastle would bring at the start of the game. They've needed that second goal to be disallowed to gain that.
So Hall and Alanga, the two Newcastle players who stand over this. Alanga's made his way away, but is still in a position to receive a short one. And Bernardo Silva is making that point. He's got two to try and deal with around the edge of the penalty area. Hall does fire it in, though, really, really deep. Voltemada at the far post was the target. Haaland got there, actually ended up being closer to Botman, and then it'll be cleared down the Manchester City right by Semenyo, but it's gone straight out of play. Ryan Cherky's been called back, and Colature will just have a couple of words with him before he comes on for Newcastle, for City, I beg your pardon, sorry. 15 minutes to go, plus we reckon at least 7. So effectively we're only midway through the second half. Bernardo Silva's really warmed up now though. Joelinton coming back. He's put under pressure by Reinders. He's managed to stay on his feet and keep possession. The ball on to Elanga on the right hand side. He's on and he's hit a perfect one that Elanga can control and drag it back in field past Nathan Ake out to his left hand side. Here's Newcastle's man of the moment, Harvey Barnes, tried a 1-2 with Elanga. It didn't come off. City clear. It'll be a throw on the Geordie's left. Tonali takes it quickly, goes back to halfway for Botman, forward for Sandro Tonali again, and the Italian turns and plays it forward for Hall. Miley in a good position on the right, worked it down the inside left channel instead for Elanga. Offside flag up against him. Trafford's got the ball and City are allowed to play on, and he's bowled it out here for Ake to bring forward. Ake into the feet of Doku. Doku down towards the left hand touchline, looks as though he'd overrun it, then gets past Voltemada and Bruno Guimaraes. The latter brings him down, and he will become the 5th player to have his name taken tonight, Dean.
It's just incredible, isn't he, Jeremy Doku, to watch up close here. We're effectively 15 yards away from the touchline. To watch that footwork in close quarters, he's got no right to get away from Voltemada. Like a bullet dodger, Doku just comes across and catches him on the calf. Brilliant to watch that for his last act.
Yeah, maybe a surprise.
Yeah,
that he is the man that is coming off here. Cherky coming on.
Very much so. I think with Bernardo Silva on that yellow card, I thought it would automatically be him that came off. So Cherky will go out to that right hand side, and Semenyo will come over to this left hand side with his versatility.
They've still got one substitution left at their disposal, City, with Aït-Nouri, McAdoo, Gray and Macassar, the players that could come on. So still a couple of attacking options on the bench, a couple of defenders as well. No, a defender and a midfielder, should I say. Lewis coming forward for Manchester City. Over on the far touchline, they lead 1-0. Thought they were 2-0 up, if you're just joining us. Semenyo getting the ball in the net for a double for him, but it was ruled out after a 6-minute check for offside. Bernardo Silva coming forward, hooking it on. It's off Tonali. He's got to play it down by his own dead ball line. Does so, gets away from Semenyo, but he loses possession. And then Tonali comes back and gives Bernardo Silva a little shove. And just for a moment, it looked as though there might be a flashpoint. And looked at each other and then patted each other on the back on the way past and got on with their jobs. 12 to go.
Poor ball from Botman.
And it's cut out by Bernardo Silva coming onto it. He's got to Cherky ahead of him. Right-footed effort from Bernardo Silva, block back to him inside the penalty area still. Cherky will play it away. Left-footed ball clipped in by Silva, far too deep. And Elanga will be able to run around that and bring it away. Don't forget, City back in action at the weekend in the Manchester derby against Michael Carrick's Manchester United after his appointment as interim manager for the remaining 17 games of their season. Carragher had a winning record in Manchester derbies as a player. Will he get off to a winning start? It's a 12:30 kickoff Saturday lunchtime. Build up from 11 on TalkSport. Away to our left, Nick Pope taking a long clearance, goal kick. Voltemada comes to meet it, flicks it on. Returned with a little bit of interest by Elaine. And he's whacked it straight out of play. Throw that will be taken by Newcastle, level with the edge of their own box. But 1-0 to City, if it ends this way, is a massive step as far as they're concerned to getting to their first final for 5 years.
Yeah, it'd be an incredible result, really. When you thought what might happen in this game and Newcastle's home record. But City have changed as well over the last season and a half now in terms of they're not top of the average possession in the Premier League, not even second. They do sit off at times now once they get a lead or in certain parts of the game. That's the slight change.
Reinders to Rodri, to Cherki, back for Rodri again. Well, you've got players like those two that you can bring off the bench and just shows what a healthy position you're in. Rodri goes back here for Ryan Cherki, who's had more assists than anybody else for Manchester City this season, 9 in total in League and Cup. Kusanov plays out towards Rico Lewis, back for Kusanov again, and turning back inside his own penalty area for Trafford. Pep not happy, hands outstretched in front of us, but City have still got it, and Elaine bringing it forward, driving through the midfield. He's done really well, feeds Haaland to Rodri. Reinders protecting the ball, looks as though Bruno Guimaraes might rob him, he didn't. And Manchester City have it with Bernardo Silva. Now inside the Newcastle penalty area. Reinders trying to get on the end of Cherki's flick on the turn, he couldn't quite. And Rodri takes over again for City. 10 yards outside the box now, they lead 1-0 with 10 minutes to go. Thought they were 2-0 up. Here's Rico Lewis towards the edge of the penalty area. Cherki fired in and smuggled away by Trafford, and then Miley down to the City left and out for a throw.
Well, it was an awkward one, wasn't it? Cherki, what he's so good at is he just looks like he's dribbling and then he can just get a snapshot away, as he did with his right foot, and Pope went with his feet, which I think with the deflection was the right decision, but it came off the bottom of his heel and way to safety.
Yeah, I do apologise. I said Trafford, it was Pope, and he's kicked it with his, as you say, the heel of his left foot behind his right leg to safety. There's like a batsman with the old Chinese cut, flicking it between his legs and his stumps for 4. He got away with it. 8.5 minutes to go. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 1. Voltemada trying to get on the end of Pope's long clearance. One back by Elaine. Just goes all the way through for Nick Pope again. Pope coming out of his penalty area. Side foots it forward. Here's Botman to Tonali. 1-0 to Manchester City. So much to react to on the sports bar tonight. And not just the appointment of Michael Carrick as Manchester United manager, but everything that has happened here. It's Jason Cundy and Darren Ambrose taking your calls on 0371722 3344. The lines will be open very shortly. And Lewis Hall and Rico Lewis getting involved in a little bit of pushing and shoving. It is a Manchester City throw that has been given. The angry reaction from Lewis was that he appreciated that was the case and Hall didn't, and he wanted to restart play. But the hiatus has allowed City to run a few more seconds off the clock, and the Newcastle fans over on the far touchline are just making that point known. Still, he hasn't taken the throw yet, Lewis. Now he does, but he just tested the patience of the referee too much, and he's booked him for delaying the restart.
Well, he did make the point, Chris Kavanagh. And the more and more Newcastle fans that stood up behind Rico Lewis eventually made up the referee's mind, I think.
It's 4 City players in the book, 2 for Newcastle. 1-0 Manchester City lead with Semenyo's goal 8 minutes into the second half. Haaland played the ball through the midfield that very nearly got Elanga in, but it was expertly read by Elaine. Again, calm under pressure. Does like to stride forward from the back. And he's clipped one down here for Nathan Ake. He's unlucky that the ball has just spun away. Curved out for a throw that'll be taken on the Newcastle United right. Taking it quickly. Chow to Tonali. Tonali going sideways though. Finds Botman and now down towards Hall. High ball over the top from him. Barnes. Past one. Voltamata coming onto it. Can he get a shot in? No, he can't. Crowded out inside the penalty area. Newcastle clear. City get it away towards Tonali. Miley. Back for Chow. Botman. Down to Hall. Newcastle 0. Manchester City 1. Hall losing out. City will be able to bring it away again. Haaland and Reinders and Semenyo all coming forward. It's Cherky. And he went alone. Now fired it straight into the nearest Newcastle defender. They've cleared out the Hall. 6 left. But a stack of stoppage time. Down towards Elanga. Cushion header from him. Elaine. Bernardo Silva. And then Elanga bustling on this near touchline with Ake. Elanga playing the back through the midfield. The pass was never going to find Bruno Guimaraes. City have turned over possession. Rodri forward towards Haaland. Haaland trying to slip in Reinders. Out comes Pope. Saves at his feet.
Right idea. Wrong execution from Erling Haaland. Reinders, what he gives you is that running ability beyond the centre forward. He will continue to make those darting runs as the ball's over the top for Voltamada.
Who chases it? Sorry.
How good is he, by the way, Max Elaine? He's been outstanding. So cool and calm, not only on the ball, but defensively as well when those intense moments have arrived.
Now Joelinton loses out, nearly caught Reinders. Had he done so, it might have been a second yellow card. Reinders then made a real mess of slipping the ball through towards Haaland, and Pep Guardiola puts his hands to his head. He can't believe that he missed him by as much as he did. Second Manchester City goal, and you feel that the destiny of the entire tie is done and dusted. Geordies are going to be bringing Trippier on. Final change in a moment. They try and get Voltamada free down the left-hand side of the penalty area, but Kusanov can get it away. He's found Rodri. Rodri poking it forward. Joelinton winning it back. Joelinton into the feet of Bruno Guimaraes. And the ball hits the referee. Still breaks Tonali's way, so play continues. Joelinton swept inside the penalty area. Kusanov heads that one away. Semenyo going up for it with Miley. Bernardo Silva, did he handball it as it ricocheted back into him after his initial clearance hit Tonali? Officials say no. City try and roll it forward. Out comes the goalkeeper, Pope. Sweeps up and clears it from the feet of Erling Haaland.
Yeah, really well, didn't he, Nick Pope, who was out nice and early. That pass from Cherky, arcing towards Haaland. It's what the goalkeepers work on so often now, is that anticipation to come out.
So, a change for each. Aït-Nouri and Trippier, the players that are coming on. Trippier is coming on to replace Bruno Guimaraes, so Miley will be moving into the midfield. Manchester City's change is a straight swap at left back, with Aït-Nouri coming on to replace Nathan Ake.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some fatigue, isn't there? Certainly from Newcastle perspective. I think that's why Guimaraes has come off. He was starting to trudge a bit.
And he's on a yellow card as well, which might have come into Eddie Howe's thinking. And Ake in no hurry to leave the field. Aït-Nouri will be on to replace him in a moment. He was in the Algerian side that lost their quarter-final of AFCON against Nigeria on Saturday, so it's a quick turnaround for him. But only 3 minutes plus stoppage time, so probably 10-11 minutes worth of action for Aït-Nouri to navigate. That's it in terms of substitutions. Unless somebody has a bad head injury, as Bernardo Silva will, from the restart, play it forward. City work it back towards halfway. I reckon potentially 9 minutes of added time. We're 2.5 minutes away from it. James Trafford, the shock of dark hair, fires the ball forward. Semenyo's just eased Trippier under the flight of it, and then will run onto it himself. Aït-Nouri making a run ahead of Antoine Semenyo. Rodri. Back for Bernardo Silva. Aït-Nouri again. First time that he and Semenyo have played together. Elaine swept forward, straight into Elanga though. Elanga then trying to tease it back over the top of the young centre-half of Voltemada. And it was up in the air. Elanga tried to bring it down. It's come off the top of his right foot and just gone out for a throw that Manchester City will take on their left-hand side. So in 90 seconds of the 90 minutes still to play. 1-0, Manchester City leading it here on TalkSport.
I mean, bringing on Rodri, what a player to bring on. Somebody that controls the tempo of any game. The chess grandmaster in that midfield area, just tapping the button every time he makes a pass. It's his vision and the timing and the calmness and the defensive awareness that just gives City a different edge to their play.
Well, had the second goal counted, it could have been mate. But Newcastle very much in check at the moment with a minute to go plus stoppage time. Would they be able to overhaul a first leg home defeat? We'll find out together if it ends this way. The second leg taking place in the first few days of February. It is live right here. Long diagonal ball from Botman. Trippier controlling it neatly on his chest. Langa making the run forward. Fired it instead to Voltemada. Miley coming onto it. Still Miley. And he flicked it behind Voltemada. He couldn't find him. And they couldn't get a shot in. Then Trippier's in strongly on Semenyo. And has given the free kick away.
Yeah, he went through the back of Semenyo's Achilles there to try and win the ball. A little clip into Voltemada, I thought does brilliantly just to kill the ball on his chest and feed it to Miley instantly. He just couldn't quite get control, get it down and take a strike in towards goal. As Max Elaine and Kusanov managed to just do enough.
9 added minutes confirmed. A yellow card for Kieran Trippier. And James Trafford will come forward to take this free kick. Moments like this that every goalkeeper just feels the need to adjust their gloves, make sure that they're on tightly enough for the last few minutes. Waste a couple of seconds and then he's pinged it straight out of play. He's missed the pitch by 10 rows of the crowd. Throw to Newcastle, taken quickly by Jolinton. Back for Botman, out to Hall. Work down the Newcastle left, it almost found its way through towards Barnes, the scorer of late goal supreme, but didn't quite. City have it with Reinders, and then they've lost out to Tonali. Pep again turns away in dismay, can't hide his frustration as Manchester City side have won it back. No manager has ever won this competition 5 times. Pep's one of a few on 4. Will he have a crack in the final? Looks as though he will at number 5. Long way to go. Another yellow card is shown. That one to Sandro Tonali. As City tried to turn and Bernardo Silva was caught and then pushed when he was on the ground by Tonali. He has been ill-tempered the second half.
Yeah, it's been stop-start. And like I said, that's a slight change for City. They're not as obsessed anymore about just keeping the ball to play down the clock. It is about disrupting the game. It is about getting into a defensive shape.
7 minutes of stoppage time to go. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 1. Semenyo 8 minutes into the second half. Trafford slips as he fires the ball forward. Still finds Haaland. Comes off Miley, then Tonali. Jolinton trying to bring it down. It's off a lane though. Ryan Cherky for Manchester City towards the edge of the area. Left-footed effort from him. Pope dives to his right, makes a comfortable save. Straight back up on his feet. Mindful of the fact time is running out. Trying to get it forward as quickly as he can. Elanga caught by Aït-Nouri. Free kick to Newcastle on the near touchline, the right. They're still appreciably inside their own half. Well, the ball is much nearer halfway by the time Trippier's dropped it down. He's looking at Nick Pope and saying, do you want me to take it? Or are you going to come and take it? But so far forward, Trippier still not sure. Jason Tindall coming across to have a word with him. Meanwhile, a yellow card is going to be shown. Pep is going, what, to me? To me, really? Chris Kavanagh says, no, not to you. And points to another one of Pep's backroom staff. I think it's James French there. And he's picked up a yellow card.
I do quite like the fact that the referee gets him to come out of the dugout, actually come forward to receive the yellow card.
Come here and take your punishment, son. Trippier taking the free kick belatedly towards the edge of the penalty area. Headed away. Down from Hall. Jolinton. Chipped over the top by Tonali. Out of the Newcastle left. Swung it. Voltemada threw himself at it. Didn't get any contact on it. Had he done, he surely would have equalised. Trafford doesn't have a save to make. City's lead still intact with 5.5 minutes of added time to go.
I mean, such a great delivery from Harvey Barnes. Begging to be headed in. I mean, Voltemada, he's tall enough. 6'7" of him, and even he couldn't quite reach it.
Trafford with the goal kick. Manchester City getting closer. Haaland helping it on. Trippier knocking it away. Elanga hooking it on. Voltemada looking for a return ball to the Swedish international. City have won it back. Cherky to Lewis, whose ball fired forward. It's brought down by Trippier. It's really frenetic and frantic in the heart of the midfield. Botman out of Lewis Hall over on the Newcastle left. Barnes getting return ball, a little 1-2 with Hall. Now back out to the young fullback again, who's forced away around the edge of the penalty area. But Manchester City, with Rodri, put their foot in and win it back. They haven't got possession back for long. Newcastle trying to build up a head of steam as they look for an equaliser here. Time very much against them. Jolinton sweeping a ball in. Headed away. Out for Trippier. Trippier side-footing it back. Miley. Remember, they scored in the 12th minute of added time against Leeds last week. They know how to leave it late. Tonali. Good ball out towards Hall. Left-hand side of the area. Stands it up. Trafford's come out for it. And eventually ends up swinging on the crossbar. Just to make sure that the defensive header doesn't go in. It's out for another Newcastle corner. Tonali will go and take it.
Yeah, well-timed pass from Barnes into Hall, who'd made the overlap. I thought he made the right choice in trying to just lift it up and over the City defence and goalkeeper, who got in a mix-up.
Jason Cundy and Darren Ambrose with the sports bar to follow this. 1-0 to Manchester City. Tonali to take the corner. In towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Well headed away. Cherky can't pick it up and take it further upfield. Hall, Jolinton, Voltemada chases Trafford out early. And the ball just away from Voltemada anyway. Trafford pounces on it, bolts it out quickly. Semenyo taking on Trippier, and he's breezing past him. He's inside the penalty area, rolls it across towards Haaland, and it was side-footed away by the retreating Hall.
Yeah, brilliant break, wasn't it, from Antoine Semenyo. Pace to burn, past Trippier. I think if he's in a red and black shirt, I think he's taking it on and striking it towards goal. I think the fact that he's signed for City, he's got Erling Haaland in the middle, he's looked for him and it wasn't really on. He should be driving towards goal and taking the opportunity himself.
City with a corner, which again allows them just to keep the ball in a non-dangerous part of the pitch. Played 6.5 minutes of the minimum 9 prescribed at the end of the 90. Corners unsurprisingly being worked short between Cherky and Reinders. Gone back out of play for a throw, and it is going to be a City throw, so they'll just be allowed to kill a little bit more time. Cherky retrieves the ball from in front of the hoardings. He throws it at Aït-Nouri, who's just told to hurry up. The throw taken back by Aït-Nouri to Bernardo Silva. Rodri coming into a central area. Jolinton herring after him. He's played it back for Kusanov. Ball angled down towards Aït-Nouri. Very lively bounce in front of him. He did well to read it and head it down for Semenyo. Bernardo chips it down the left-hand touchline, but out of play for a throw to Newcastle. But that passage of play for City wasted a minute or so. Trippier goes back for Malik Thiaw. Pope, not what the doctor ordered. He sliced it straight out of play for a City throw. They're nearly there.
They are. Yeah, they've been able to manage it reasonably well. It doesn't feel as if Newcastle have been able to create that clear-cut chance like they had in the first half with Visser in this second half.
Aït-Nouri with the throw. Semenyo. Flick back towards Aït-Nouri by Cherky. He's inside the penalty area. Cherky fires it in. And in the 9th minute of stoppage time, They supply what may well be the decisive blow over the two legs. Ryan Cherky. It's Newcastle 0, Manchester City 2. Hard to see Newcastle turning this around. Manchester City's first final in 5 years is on the cards.
It's a killer blow, it really is. But wasn't it well worked? Semenyo fires that in low towards Cherky, who's already seen what's going to happen. The vision, the anticipation and awareness from him is stunning. Just flicks it towards Aït-Nouri, who's that third man running, who took the throw in the first place. It's brilliant. And then once Aït-Nouri gets to that 6-yard line, he cuts it back and it's an instant strike from Ryan Cherky with his left foot low, past the feet of Pope. And you'd expect, with their away record, that they could be in the final.
Ryan Cherky scored in all 3 League Cup ties that he's played, including a goal tonight in 90 plus 9. Manchester City leading by 2 goals to 0. And Newcastle are going to have to win by 2 in Manchester in 3 weeks' time if they're going to stand any chance at all of making it to Wembley. It looks as though the defence of the League Cup could well be over at the midway stage of this semi-final tie. Here's Joelinton towards the edge of the penalty area. Can he throw Newcastle a lifeline? Hall firing it in far too deep for Tonali. That'll drift out of play, and that is that. Manchester City have won it by 2 goals to 0, and in doing so have taken a massive step towards the 2026 Carabao Cup final. Antoine Semenyo scoring again for Manchester City, 2-2 for him. Thought he got another. It was disallowed after a very lengthy VAR check for offside. Haaland deemed to be in an offside position. City thought they'd supply the decisive blow, and then probably did with almost the last kick of the night. Ryan Cherky with that. And Newcastle have only won twice away from home all season. Have got a mountain to climb in Manchester in 3 weeks' time. Hard to see Newcastle going back to back now. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 2.